Welcome to the podcast. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Daisy. We're so glad you're here with us today.
Today we're tackling a problem every single language learner faces, the fear of freezing. You know that moment when someone asks you an unexpected question and your mind just goes blank?
Oh, absolutely. It's that moment of panic where you feel like you've forgotten every word you've ever learned. The first thing that usually comes out is a long, drawn-out or
Exactly. And while those fillers are normal, they don't exactly scream confidence. So, in this episode, we're going to give you something much better. We're going to teach you 12 common phrases that native speakers use to buy time and sound fluent and confident while doing it.
That's right. Think of these as your secret weapons. They're not just fillers. They are tools that give your brain a moment to catch up and organize your thoughts. Ready to get started?
Let's do it. We've grouped these phrases into a few categories. The first group is for those initial moments right after someone asks you a question. Our very first phrase is, "That's a great question."
I love this one. It's polite, it's positive, and it immediately makes the other person feel good. While they're feeling pleased with their great question, you get 3 or 4 seconds to think.
For example, in a job interview, they might ask, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" Instead of stumbling, you can say, "That's a great question. I see myself taking on more responsibility within a company that shares my values." Exactly. It shows respect for the questioner. You're not just treating their question like a task to be completed, you're acknowledging its value. That small gesture can build a lot of goodwill.
Or in a more casual setting, if a friend asks, "What's the best movie you've seen this year?" You could say, "That's a great question. There have been so many good ones. Let me see. I'd probably have to go with." It just makes the conversation flow so much better. It sounds so much more professional. Okay, what's phrase number 2?
Number 2 is a little more direct. Let me think about that for a second.
Right. This shows that you're taking the question seriously. You're not just giving a quick, thoughtless answer. You're considering it carefully, which is a sign of intelligence.
Totally. Imagine a friend asks for advice. "Should I accept this job offer in another city?" You could reply, "Oh, wow, let me think about that for a second. There are a lot of pros and cons to consider."
That's a perfect use case. Okay, phrase number 3, and it works in professional settings too. If your boss asks for your opinion on a new proposal, saying, "Let me think about that for a second," is much better than giving a rushed, half-formed opinion. It shows you're thoughtful.
Number 3 is, "It's funny you should ask that." This phrase creates a little bit of intrigue. It suggests you have a personal story or a specific thought related to the topic. That's a perfect use case. It shows you're not just trying to get the conversation over with, but that you're actually engaged.
Exactly. It connects the question to a personal experience. Someone might ask, "Have you ever thought about learning to code?" You could say, "It's funny you should ask that. My brother and I were just talking about this yesterday."
It builds a bridge to your answer. Let's do one more before our first practice. Phrase number 4 is, "I haven't thought about that before, but..." It's a lovely way to make the conversation feel more personal and less like an interrogation. It turns a simple question into a shared moment.
This one is great because it's honest. It's okay not to have an immediate opinion on everything. Being honest buys you time and makes you relatable. Then the word "but" signals that you're still going to give it a try.
Right. Someone asks, "What do you think is the future of public transportation?" You could say, "I haven't thought about that before, but I suppose self-driving buses will become more common." That's a great point. It's about being authentic in the moment. It's perfectly fine to admit you're thinking on your feet. In fact, it can make you seem more genuine and trustworthy.
Okay, that's our first set of 4 phrases. So now it's time for a mini practice moment. We want you, our listeners, to repeat a phrase out loud. It really helps build muscle memory. Ryan, could you model one for us?
You bet. Let's practice phrase number 2. First, slowly, let me think about that for a second. Now, at a natural conversational pace, let me think about that for a second.
Perfect. Try using that one the next time you need a moment.
All right, let's move on to our next group of phrases. These are for when you've started to talk but need to organize your thoughts as you go. Phrase number 5 is, well, the first thing that comes to mind is,
This is a fantastic way to structure your answer. It tells the listener you're starting with your main point, and it gives you a clear path forward. You only have to think of one thing to start.
Yep. If someone asks, "What's the best way to learn a new skill?" you can say, "Well, the first thing that comes to mind is the importance of consistency. You have to practice a little bit every day."
That's a great organizer. And a similar one, our phrase number 6, is there are a couple of ways to look at this. It's a great way to give your answer a clear starting point. It's like you're laying down the first piece of a puzzle, which makes it easier to find the next one.
This one makes you sound very analytical and thoughtful. It shows that you're considering multiple perspectives before giving your final answer.
For example, should our company invest in new software? Your response. There are a couple of ways to look at this. On one hand, it could improve our efficiency. On the other hand, there's the cost of training.
Very useful for business contexts. Now, the next two phrases are a bit different. They help you buy time by clarifying the question. Number 7 is, just to be clear, are you asking about exactly? It shows that you're not just giving a simple yes or no answer. You're demonstrating that you can think critically and see the nuances in a situation, which is a very advanced communication skill.
This is so smart. Not only do you get extra time to think, but you also make sure you're answering the right question. It prevents misunderstandings and shows you're a careful listener.
Right? If your manager asks, "Can you give me an update on the project?" you could say, "Of course." Just to be clear, are you asking about the budget or the timeline? It's a huge sign of respect for the other person's time and attention. You're making sure you don't waste their time by answering a question they didn't ask.
And our 8th phrase is a variation of that. If I understand you correctly, you're wondering,
This one involves paraphrasing the question back to the speaker. It confirms your understanding and gives you a moment to structure your thoughts around that confirmed topic.
for sure. A client might say something complex. You can respond with, okay, if I understand you correctly, you're wondering how our product can integrate with your existing system. Then you wait for them to say yes, and by then your answer is ready.
Excellent. That's our second set of phrases, all about organizing your thoughts. Daisy, time for another practice round?
Let's do it. This time, let's practice phrase number 5. Ryan?
Okay, let's say it slowly first. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is, and now, naturally, well, the first thing that comes to mind is,
Awesome. Keep practicing that aloud.
we're on to our final set of 4 phrases. These are great for adding more information or re-explaining something. Number 9 is, on top of that.
This is a simple but powerful transition. It signals that you have another point to add, which makes your argument sound stronger and more well-developed. It gives you a moment to recall that next point.
Right. You could be saying, this restaurant has amazing food. On top of that, the service is incredibly friendly.
Simple and effective. And very similar is phrase number 10. Another thing to consider is, that's a great example. It's a very natural way to stack positive points. You could also use it to build a case for something. For instance, this new software is more efficient, which will save us time. On top of that, it's more secure, which will protect our data.
This phrase works just like the last one, but it sounds a little more formal and thoughtful. It's great for discussions or debates where you want to introduce a new angle.
When choosing a university, you should look at the courses. Another thing to consider is the location and cost of living.
Perfect. Now, what if you explain something and you can see the other person is still confused? For that, we have phrase number 11. Let me put it another way.
This is an amazing tool. It shows you're paying attention to your listener's reaction. Instead of just repeating yourself, you're offering to rephrase, which is more helpful and gives you time to think of a simpler explanation.
Exactly. You explain a concept, see a blank look, and then say, let me put it another way. Imagine your computer's memory is like a desk.
That's a lifesaver. And finally, our 12th and final phrase. So to put it simply,
This is the perfect phrase for summarizing a complex point. After you've given a long explanation, you can use this to provide a clear, concise takeaway. It makes you sound organized and in control of the information.
it really does. For example, after analyzing all the data points and market trends, it's clear there are risks. So to put it simply, we should wait another month before launching.
And that's 12. Let's do our final practice round.
Okay, listeners, let's try phrase 11. Ryan, lead the way.
Sure thing. Slowly. First, let me put it another way. And at natural speed, let me put it another way.
Brilliant. And there you have it. 12 phrases to help you buy time and speak more confidently.
So let's do a quick recap. The key takeaway here is that you don't need to feel panicked when you need a moment to think. Using phrases like, that's a great question, or let me think for a second, are not signs of weakness. They are signs of a thoughtful, engaged speaker.
They really are confidence tools. Our challenge to you is to not try and memorize all 12 at once. Instead, choose just 2 or 3 that you really like. Write them down and make it your mission to use them in a conversation this week.
That's the best way to make them a natural part of your English. If you found this episode helpful, we'd love it if you could take a moment to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform.
It really helps other learners find the show. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Fluent Focus podcast.
Until next time, keep learning.